Welcome back to Washington Watch. My name is Joseph, back home sitting in for Tony. So glad that you have chosen to spend a few minutes with us. Polls released this week are showing a sustained decline in President Biden's approval rating. In addition, the public is giving the president poor marks on his handling of the economy, jobs, immigration, and now even COVID. In 45 states, more people disapprove of Biden's job performance than approve, according to a civics poll. And President Biden now sports the lowest net economic rating of any president at this point through their first term since at least Jimmy Carter in 1977, according to the latest CNN SSRS poll. Here with me now to talk about some of the other latest figures is Jim Lee. He's the president, CEO, and founder of Susquehanna Polling and Research. Jim, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Joseph. Nice to be with you this evening.
It's good to see you. Lots of polls floating around. What's getting your attention?
Well, what's getting my attention is that the civics poll you referenced is based on a rolling average of polling conducted independently in all 50 states. And their cumulative approval rating nationwide for Biden is 37%, which is 1 point different from our last poll for the Federalist released just a few weeks ago, where we had him at 36%. And that's striking, Joseph, because we're now at the end of the first year of the Biden presidency. And I wanted to put this in perspective because I went back and looked at the last 6 presidents and their approval rating after 1 year in office. Biden is now dead last in 7th place based on the last 7 presidents, including him. That's fascinating. He's even below Trump, who averaged 39% after his first year in office. Number 1 was George W. Bush at 79%, followed by his father at 78%, Clinton at 54%, Obama was at 49%, Reagan at 47%, Trump at 39%, and Joe Biden at 37 or 36% based on our polling. That is so startling. I think it shows how soft his base of support is after just 1 year in office.
If you were working in the White House, what advice would you be giving the president based on this polling?
Well, I'd be telling him we got a problem in our base. When we looked at the change from Biden's approval rating, even with Democrats, Joseph, from August to November, just a 3-month span, he's gone from an 87% approval rating with Democrats down to 61%. That means 4 in 10 Democrats in our latest poll refuse to even say they think their incumbent president's doing a good job. He's got a problem in his base, which I think is why the Build Back Better plan is such a setback for this president, because that was really teed up to be red meat to the base, and it's just not going to happen.
You mentioned there the slide in support from his base. Is there a particular issue that you can connect that to?
I think it's twofold. The exit polling from the end of the 2020 election, Joe, showed voters that were concerned about COVID voted for Biden over Trump by a 15-point margin. COVID was, of course, the dominant theme of the 2020 election. But Biden's approval rating handling COVID, we had it at 51%, but our poll is stale in the sense that it was in and out of the field before the Omicron variant really started to surge in the last couple of days. So Biden's now underwater, even among voters who think COVID is the number one concern. And that has to be one of the fundamental reasons why he's lost so much ground. The other, I would say, was the pullout from Afghanistan, when we really started to see the slide with voters in his own party.
Now, you mentioned that there's these different issues. There's the economy, there's Afghanistan, there's COVID. Is COVID still the issue of greatest concern to the voters?
It sure is. 3 weeks ago, I had it as what I call the big 3 Cs: COVID, crime, and cash. Cash being economic concerns about inflation. That's now changed dramatically since we've had this uptick in the new strain of COVID. We're now seeing more and more concern with this new variant. Right. And it seems to be trumping all other issues, including the crime numbers we had that were very prominent in the last poll we did just a few weeks ago. So this president was given good marks early on for how he handled COVID, and it really stuck out like a sore thumb because his numbers on immigration, his numbers handling the economy, his overall approval rating, all have been very lackluster. But what was propping up the Biden administration was the trustworthiness that voters felt they had in this guy dealing with COVID, because it was such a stark difference from the way Trump mishandled the COVID pandemic from a PR standpoint. That has now basically gone away for this president. He's now left with really nothing that voters can point to as a strong accomplishment from him in the first year, and they're losing faith that he has a real strong grasp of how to take us out of this pandemic.
Jim, we've got about a minute left. We're looking at the midterms of 2022. How are these polling numbers going to affect what's going to happen next November?
Well, Republican incumbents and Republican challengers in swing districts that Trump performed well in will really be trying to make 2022 a referendum on the Biden presidency. And that puts them in a very good position to really be competitive next year. What we call the generic ballot, Joseph, when we ask Americans if the election for Congress were held today, would you vote Republican or Democrat? We have Republicans leading on that question, which is really surprising because we're still a year out from the election. We usually start to see the uptick closer to election day. To have Republicans winning the generic ballot a year before the election, I think is a real strong indication the political winds have shifted, and it's going to be really, really a strong headwind for Democrats to run in next year.
It is going to be a very interesting year. And Jim Lee, Susquehanna, we are out of time, but appreciate you giving us the update very much. Thanks for being with us.